the cycles are much faster. Things that these guys are doing in 5 years, they're doing in 6 months. That is 90% less to launch the product to the market.
So if you're a Western brand entering, there's lots of Chinese competitors, but how do you differentiate yourself?
In terms of the opportunities here, the younger population in China is...
There's a lot of focus on US versus China, when actually not a lot of emphasis on India versus China. Can you dig a little bit into that, where the opportunities are and where China's winning and where India's winning?
Everybody talks about the geopolitical tensions between China. It's going to happen. But what is interesting is, at the end of the day, Chinese businessmen want to...
I sat down with the magnificent Minesh, co-founder and CEO of BuyHive. We discussed how you can source any product in China with a network of experienced source professionals cost effectively. The opportunities in both China and India and some other countries you may not be aware of. Minesh is truly knowledgeable when it comes to trade cross borders and upcoming developments which will benefit you. We delved into why different demographics in China, from the aging population to Gen Z, have huge potential for anyone doing business in China and outside. Here's my chat with Minesh.
So where do you start when sourcing products from China?
So the principle in which BuyHive is made is on a model similar to Uber, where you have, instead of drivers, experts, sourcing experts in certain categories that would go out and identify suppliers. An example here is, let's say you're wearing a beautiful suit here and you want to manufacture these suits and sell in England. You say my suits are similar to Brooks Brothers, okay? So I'm going to find you an expert who's been buying suits for Brooks Brothers for years. So he or she has connections and relationships with factories. They understand which products to go for, what is the materials that are used. They understand the technical difficulties of certain materials. They know what are the price points of different factories, and they've been going in and out. They also have relationships with the Laobans. Because you're buying something for Brooks Brothers, right? You might not be Brooks Brothers. You might be a small potato there. You're a new brand starting. But if you have the relationship with Brooks Brothers, this person brings that in. Now, this person that we found who's been working for Brooks Brothers for, say, 10, 15 years, of course, he has all the knowledge. We go about asking him the right questions, which he then asks the suppliers, and all of that is tabulated into our formats, which then provides you very detailed information about the factory. Things like, what is the capacity, what is the capability, what are the certifications do they have, what kind of other buyers they may make for, what materials can they handle, what countries are they exporting to, what is their packaging like, the price points, obviously, then how many in a carton, how many in a container, what is the carton size, what is the container size, and so many other things. So all of that comes very quickly to you. And that's what the service is about finding the right suppliers, whether it is in China. So you need to ask me about China. You want to find in China? No problem. You want to find tomorrow, you want to make shoes in Vietnam? No problem. We'll find you, and your shoes are like, let's say, Geox. Then we'll find you somebody who's been sourcing Geox in Vietnam. Next time you want to find somebody in, let's say, Turkey, who's making blankets for IKEA, right? I mean, your blankets are like IKEA. So yeah, we'll find you somebody who's been working for IKEA in Turkey, and so on and so forth. So it's about finding the right people who have the right knowledge and the right experience. Today on the platform, we have 5,000 plus sourcing experts in 20 countries that go about with a lot of their experience, and that information is in the back of our platform, and we match you with that.
And how do you find those experts?
So finding the expert, there's multiple channels. First, of course, we create job ads in major job recruitment platforms in different countries. And we know, okay, for example, if I'm in Vietnam, there's a different platform. If I'm in India, there's a different platform. And we know where the sourcing professionals hang out or are recruited from. And that's what our backgrounds and experience come from. So we use that. We use, of course, general media like LinkedIn. We sometimes use Facebook in certain countries like Bangladesh, it works, Vietnam, it works. So we use that. And depends. I mean, there are different channels of recruiting these people. Our platform is similar to Upwork or Fiverr, where people are freelancing, right? So we can hire them through advertising in job boards.
And what kind of profile are you looking at when you're looking at that ideal sourcer?
What we can define is criteria of their experience. And what we have actually done is we have modules in which we weigh every resume based on the experience of sourcing. And I say experience of sourcing, like I was saying earlier, if I want somebody who has sourced athleisure for Lululemon, I need to have that person who really has source, who has worked for Lululemon, who understands the challenges of working with that environment, understands what are the technicalities in working with the factories of Lululemon. Similarly, somebody doing work for IKEA understands the IKEA factories and the IKEA norms. H&M has the H&M background. So each of these experience sourcing professionals, we identify their experience, their category expertise, their product expertise, their geographical expertise. Somebody who has been sourcing for, let's say, IKEA working out of Hong Kong may have experience buying from factories in Taiwan, in China, in Korea, in Vietnam, in Indonesia. At the same time, somebody who's working in Shanghai for H&M might only have experience sourcing in Zhejiang. So we need to know all that, right? Geographic expertise, product expertise, and then there are product experts. So somebody who's been sourcing watches may not be able to do smartwatches, but somebody who might be doing smartwatches could have experience sourcing iPhones, or phones, smartphones, because the technologies are similar. So that kind of understanding and that kind of background capturing is what we do.
Can you give some examples of some cities that are off the beaten track, not your typical first tier cities that are upcoming for 2024, and not your typical profile of city when you think for manufacturing?
Yeah, so the typical cities, right? In China, let's just take an example of China. China has been for the last 20 something years very much focused on the East. We've all been buying out of the East. Zhejiang is popular. You got Dongguan and Shenzhen and Guangzhou. All these are regular. Fuzhou and Xiamen and all these are what everybody goes to. And the entire Jiangsu and Zhejiang is all populated. But more and more, people are moving productions to, let's say, Dalian. There's more happening in Dalian. There's more happening in Chengdu and Chongqing, like people have moved west. There is more manufacturing that is going to Hunan, Hubei, Wuhan, and Changsha, for example, is an upcoming city. And this is China. On a global basis, if you talk about manufacturing in India, people only knew Delhi and Bombay and Bangalore and the big cities. But there is manufacturing strongly growing in the state of Gujarat around Ahmedabad. There is manufacturing growing in Orissa, it's a state in India. There is more and more stuff coming around Pune in terms of technology developments and stuff. Bangalore has become, of course, it was a software capital, but it's also more and more important for machine tools. So there's different categories that are growing. On a macroeconomic level, also, you can see more things happening in Mexico, and not in Mexico City, in Monterrey, in places which are closer to the border, places which are getting investments from outside Mexico to develop it there. Same is happening in Colombia, Bogota, Bucaramanga. Bucaramanga is a border city to, let's say, Venezuela, right? Venezuela, you can't really do anything anymore, but there is cheap labor available in Bucaramanga. So a lot of textile manufacturing is happening in Bucaramanga. Cali, Medellin is growing very fast in apparel industry. So on and so forth. So there's a lot of developments that are happening all around the world, and things are changing. We are in a very dynamic world right now.
And those cities that you mentioned in China in particular, why are they significant, and why have they overtaken other cities, let's say, in the last couple of years?
There's multiple reasons, right? So one, the costs in all these cities, right? So think of Hangzhou and Suzhou and Shenzhen and Guangzhou and Dongguan. Shanghai, impossible. Shanghai used to be a manufacturing place. No, how can you manufacture anything in Shanghai? Right? and that happens everywhere. Like Hong Kong used to be a big manufacturing destination. Can't manufacture. Tokyo used to be a big manufacturing destination. Can't manufacture there. New York used to be a manufacturing destination. Cannot happen there. So this is a transition from being a developing nation to a developed nation, and it happens. And these cities are also in their life cycle. Cities also the cost of living. So this is one, the cost of living has gone up. The type of industries have gone up. You can't really do dirty manufacturing. Dirty manufacturing is polluting manufacturing. Dyeing and sewing and all those industries are not going to happen in these places. Even for for manufacturing of, let's say, electric vehicles. Electric vehicles started in Shenzhen, but Chengdu has huge plans, right? Geely has a big setup in Chengdu. And it's going to happen because the cost for them to get the land, the subsidies that they can get from these cities that need to develop are different, that they get much better benefits. Second or third part of that is also availability of labor. The younger population that we used to get in these parts, they came from outside, right? They came from the west, or they came from wherever. Now they want to stay closer to families, and they have opportunities closer. Why don't they stay around there, right? Somebody from Sichuan province, they're all going to work in Chengdu and Chongqing. You see, Chongqing is the world's most populated city. And Chengdu also is a very populated city with a lot more younger people. The demographics of those cities are much better than Shenzhen in terms of the aging population. These are young cities. The average population there is younger. There is more people in 18 to 35 in Chongqing than probably Shenzhen and Guangzhou put together. So those kind of differences make it possible.
Yeah, I had a few business trips last year to Chongqing and Chengdu, and there's a lot more Western companies setting up there. Quite a few British companies that are big names in the UK. There's a lot of focus on US versus China, when actually not a lot of emphasis on India versus China. And so can you dig a little bit into that, where the opportunities are and where maybe China's winning and where India's winning?
Yeah, even before we talk about winning, right? China and India by itself is a huge opportunity. India has 1.6 billion people. China has 1.4 billion people now, right? I mean, even with the declining population rate, we got huge numbers. That's almost half the world's population in these two countries. That itself creates opportunities. India is a young population. China is an aging population, but it's still got a lot more young people than anywhere else in the world. People can talk about, China is aging. Yeah, it is aging. There is more older people that are going to be in the next 10 years dependent. India doesn't have that. So there is some opportunities there, right? In terms of where China is aging and how you can make aging easy and how you can use technology for the ease of people getting older. And there's a lot of technologies coming in. I just came back from CES in Vegas, and CES had about 2 full halls on age tech. They call it age tech. Age tech means all the products that are there to support older age people, right? And China can build a lot of that technology here. And I can see there is a huge revolution coming in that industry, in that sector, because the government knows that this aging population. I'll give you examples of technology. So let's just say, I don't know if this exists or not, I'm just saying. Let's think of somebody who is 70 years old who wears a smart watch, right? A device. Let's not even say a smartwatch, a ring or a device or a locket or whatever is comfortable for them. But that device that is on his or her body tells you everything that you need to know about when they are going to need sugar. Their sugar is declining, or their heart rates are having problems, their blood pressures are having issues, or they might be having epilepsy attack or whatever. That one device embedded somewhere in one of your wearables keeps you on track, or safety of them, right? So if he or she falls in the bathroom, this device can track this device, and they can press one button and get the care they need. If it can happen anywhere, it's China. If the device is, let's say it's a watch, let's just say it's a wearable watch, if it's connected to your WeChat and it is tracking all this information, they can press one button. Imagine the savings you're going to have for the government and everybody to take care of these people, because you're proactively monitoring their health. Proactively, help is reaching them. You got the system, Meituan and all these things. You just have to integrate them. And they're already integrated because we got super apps like Alipay and WeChat. All it needs is connecting. So there's that opportunity. And I get excited about it because I think there is huge opportunity in this sector for people to invest in, for people to grow these businesses that will care for the elderly. So that is one part. India, because it's a younger population, it's going to consume a lot of electronics. India is not a big manufacturer of electronics today. Whether it is devices that you wear, whether it's something that you, television screens or LED screens or whatever you use in the entertainment industry, you use for basically in the production of movies or whatever. Where is all that being made? In China. There is an opportunity there, right? Everybody talks about the geopolitical tensions between China and India, and we all know there are tensions there, and there is not much to talk about that. It's going to happen, and it's going to always be there. We have common borders and common interests in certain areas. But what is interesting is if they can put that aside. I mean, Xi Jinping has made some positive statements about Narendra Modi pretty often in the recent past, and Narendra Modi hasn't made any negative statements about Xi Jinping in the recent past. So I think it's the relationships are thawing. It might be now, maybe after the election. India is having an election this year. It might change after the election, where his tones will change, and he's like, okay, I don't take the hard line. Let's build the relationships. I think there is improvements going to happen there. India is building infrastructure, right? India is building huge infrastructures, airports, dams, bridges, ports, all of that. China has already done that in the last 20 years. China's got the technology. There's no advantage for India to reinvest and rebuild and re-engineer all of that. That would be a sheer waste of resources. There are surely projects that are happening between India and China without so much noise about it. Railway systems, right? India has a huge railway system being built. High-speed trains are being built. There is new railway tracks being laid, new types of trains being introduced, and all that. You think China is not trading there? China is trading. It might not trade in the finished products, but they're surely trading in products that enhance the infrastructure part of India. So there is that opportunity, the infrastructure part of it, right? In terms of India, talking about manufacturing in India. India is a big story about manufacturing in India. If India is attracting FDI, foreign direct investment, Chinese can be part of that. At the end of the day, Chinese businessmen want to make money, right? You invest $1, you try to get $2 out of it. India is a big opportunity for them, and in certain categories, they'll do better than others. So there is opportunities. You can't, I mean, people get worried about, India and China and there's disputes and this and that. Businessmen don't worry about politics.
Yeah.
Businessmen just do business.
I think you and I should go in on that watch. You and I should go to the elderly population. I think there's an opportunity there.
That aging population, even in UK where you come from, I mean, you got a problem. But what if we can, whatever that it's a watch or whatever device we come up with, which connects with the health system, right? You want to connect it with the health system of UK. UK has got a social system, and you can't even you got sick, you can't get appointments for 5 days, 6 days. Well, elderly, they don't have 5-6 days sometimes, right? Sometimes not much longer. That pressure can be solved because only really urgent cases come to you. The others are tracked through a system which, let's say you are a doctor, government doctor in Surrey. Okay, your one zip code or 2 zip codes, whatever they are given to you. If you're sitting there and you can track all your population on a dashboard saying these, so it lights up, these are red, these are orange. Immediately, these are the orange ones and the red ones, we gotta care for them immediately. There is no other way. And the doctor even can't control who they can invite. The system, an AI system that is built into your dashboard, invites those people. Oh, these guys need care. These are the people, and this is the type of care we need. This is orthopedic care, this is diabetic care, this is care related to maybe heart diseases, or this is related to blood diseases. No problem. They already got the experts alerted, they got the appointment set up, and they would automatically also have alerted the pharmacies. So you get the whole chain set up and done. So the pressure will go down because today, I don't know how much time the social health systems, whether it is Canada or UK or wherever, are spending on just scheduling stuff, which is not necessary.
It's months right now.
No, it's not how much time they need to schedule an appointment. It's just the efforts that are put into scheduling it. Because there is people involved and people like 5 nurses go about talking about, oh, this patient, let's move this, let's move that. All that bullshit will be gone because it's all connected to your health app. Your health app is connected to the central system. The system is fixing appointments based on the need of the patients.
Let's talk on the flip side, the Gen Zs, right? With brands entering China, already in China, where are the opportunities there?
So in terms of the opportunities here, right, the younger population that is there in China is more savvy, more international. They have seen, I mean, at least they get exposed to all the international brands through television and HBOs and Disney's and all these content that is available, right? Which was not the case in the past. We didn't have direct content access and stuff. The content access is pretty good now. So they got access to anything, whether it is cosmetics, whether it is cosmetic surgeries, whether it is apparel or fashion, whether it is related to the cars they use, products they use, right? There's a lot more exposure, and they are also willing to spend more. The last generation of Chinese believed in savings. This generation spends. They earn more, they spend more. And they are more so. The first time I came to China, the dressing sense or the way people dressed up generally was not this fashionable. Now, especially in the big cities, right? I mean, you see the brands, the local brands, Chinese brands also that are coming up. They're very high fashion. They can give competition to all the international brands. They can give competition to an H&M or a Zara very easily. Some of the, like, I was just going through this store. I don't even know. It's called UR. I forgot what the urban something, right? Urban
Outfitters.
something like that. It's like the Urban Outfitters, but it's urban something. It's a Chinese brand, right? I assume it's a Chinese brand, but it is as good or better than like almost competing with an Abercrombie. So there is that kind of stuff that is coming up in terms of cosmetics, right? There's a lot of local brands in cosmetics that give companies like L'Oreal and Estee Lauder a run for their money. Because, and of course, L'Oreal and then Estee Lauder flex their muscles and would buy and invest into those companies, which happens all the time. But it is that the consumer is driving it. The consumer is accepting those brands, and the consumer is willing to pay a higher price for those.
So if you're a Western brand entering, you say that there's lots of Chinese competitors, but how do you differentiate yourself if you're approaching on that level?
I think the major one is positioning and quality, because the consumer here. So in the past, we did not worry so much about positioning and what is the place. So you make a perception map. And then where are you placing yourself? So if I was a cosmetic brand that wants to enter into China, there is much more opportunity in the luxury segment than in the mass segment. Then I need to position myself in the luxury segment. My pricing needs to be in the luxury segment. My packaging needs to be in the luxury segment. My branding and my brand ambassador and everything needs to be in the luxury segment. Or if I'm really going for the masses in China, then I need to really be able to speak to the masses. I need to have that local branding, local language, local positioning, local placements. You can't be, so, like you want to be a Louis Vuitton and then all you do is Shaolong Shu, they're not going to work, right? So that kind of things. I mean, this is just simple examples, but for foreign brands that are coming in, it's getting more and more complicated. It's getting more and more competitive, and it's going to be more and more expensive. So China being a big market, it was easier in the early days. Now it's going to be local competition. As you get local competition, the cost of PPCs goes up. Cost of PPCs, cost of KOL, cost of everything goes up. So your costs are going to be more.
So sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Yeah, certainly. come in as quickly as possible, right?
Yes. You know, for example, good wines and beers and cheeses and meats and stuff. You know, here we see somebody like Alimentari. What was it? It was a distributor of these things. It became a brand. It's selling under its own brand. It's selling all these products under its own brand, and they're doing really well. I'm sure they will expand to other places other than Shanghai. They started in Shanghai, but they expand to other. This is good examples of foreign companies or foreign products or foreign brands that are able to penetrate the local market. But they position themselves in a certain way that people consumed it, and people like that way of consumption. And it worked in Shanghai. They did their experiment in Shanghai. I'm sure they are doing it in other cities, and they're tweaking the model here and there to fit into that city.
Alimentary is an interesting one because on the one side it's community building, so there's a buzz when you go in those restaurants, and the other side is they're able to attract both foreigners and Chinese living in harmony, eating together, and sharing this culture and the food.
But you have to see which is the Chinese they're attracting. They're attracting the younger Chinese. They're attracting the 20s and early 30s. They're not attracting the 50s and 60s Chinese, right? They attract the older foreigners. Foreigners they attract all through the age groups. But the Chinese, if you've noted, all these guys, whether it is Baker and Spice, whether it is Alimentari, or all these guys, they all attract the younger Chinese.
And it's an affluent audience as well. It's working professionals.
They have the disposable income and they don't worry about saving. So they go spend that. They are okay to chat with the friends there.
Sure. So we're early in 2024. What should we be looking for the next few months? As stuff that's not reported right now, as far as keep your eye on that.
Yeah, I think there is a lot of optimism. I can feel the optimism. I came back from CES. I saw optimism. I see in China, whatever talks are coming from the central government also, they're positive. There is a lot more enthusiasm that this might be the year of comeback and stuff. And we've waited long enough, right? I mean, the last 2-3 years have been a wash and we had to have wait. 2023 was kind of rebuilding, but it was rebuilding the base. This one might be putting down the walls and putting down the growth kind of the tree for the future. So I think 2024, generally, I feel positive about it. I can see, like I was saying, there is new categories and industries, especially in China, that we should look up to, like I said, health tech, aging tech. There is stuff that is related to aeronautics and electric vehicles. Flying cars. Geely is introducing flying cars. Some Xiaomi is working on that. HiFi is working on that. All these guys are going to come with flying taxis and flying cars and stuff. This is the future. This is coming out of China today. They're not. For when you see what happens in China as compared to the West, let's say the auto industry, for example, by the time a Volkswagen or a BMW launch, so they're going to be 3-4 years or 5 years cycles, right? That's what happens in these companies. So they are now planning a 2026 vehicle, a launch. If you see Honda even or Hyundai and all these guys, they're looking at 2026 launches and they're showing, oh, this is a vehicle for 20. China doesn't have that system. China is like, okay, we plan this vehicle 6 months out. 6 months, they are in the market. They're selling. The cycles are much faster. Things that these guys are doing in 5 years, they're doing in 6 months. That is 60 months to 6 months. That's 10% less, 90% less. It's only 10% of the time taken to launch the product to the market. That's exciting, right? So that is electric vehicles. Aeronautics is going to be the same. Any kind of high-tech manufacturing. So Xiaomi is coming up with its own chips and own technologies to be independent of what is happening around the world. So those kind of things are the exciting part, staying in China.
Minesh, where can people get in touch with you?
I am available on Minesh at theBuyHive.com. So can you email me? I can do on my WeChat. So
show them your shirt as well. I love this shirt.
The shirt is the BuyHive shirt. My entire team has that. And we've custom made. It's been engraved. The logo is engraved. And there's what do you call it? What is this?
Embroidery.
Embroidery, yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And really key takeaway for me today is 2023 was rebuilding, a time for reflection, and now 2024 is new growth.
Yeah.
So you've put some ideas in my head. I think you and I should go in on this idea for the aging population.
I think health and aging is the future.
Yeah. I agree. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time, guys. Subscribe, like.
Subscribe and like to this channel. Very good.
Take care.
Thank you.